Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. We're back again, you guys, for another show, another tactical breakdown, but this time a tactical breakdown that is slightly different. I'll get into the details of that in a moment, but first off, if you're enjoying the new series, please like, please subscribe if you're new around here with those notifications turned on so you know exactly when a new show is going to be dropping and so you never miss one whatsoever, because you won't want to be missing the content that's going to be coming up over the next few days. Please leave your comments in the description because we really are valuing those. There's been really great feedback from the last few episodes. I mean, all of the episodes, to be fair. Even the last one. The last one, obviously, yesterday's show in which we looked at Reiss Nelson specifically. I asked the question whether I thought he was the most overrated Arsenal youngster. This was a question. A lot of people take it really seriously. But ultimately, the feedback was really good from that, and I really appreciated the feedback that came back from that, and I'm glad that people understood the direction of which the video was taken, which was ultimately just to break the guy down and see what he'd provide us with effectively. But today's show is different. Today's show, I would like to take a look at the Arsenal lineup that could be realistic for next season. Realistic based on the budget that we supposedly have, realistic on the players that we're being linked to quite heavily, the players which could leave us. And I want to look at how I think Arsenal could line up based on what we basically know so far. It's going to be quite an in-depth one, quite a detailed one on each of the individual players that are going to be playing next season or not playing. So let's get straight into the video. Again, if you're playing enjoys the content, please do like the video. It tells me that you enjoy it. And I enjoy it as well if you like the video as well. So please do. But yeah, let's start off in terms of the players that I think are going to be sold to add to our 40 million budget. The first one, Sead Kolasinac. Sead Kolasinac obviously joined the club from Schalke on a free transfer and has been linked with a move away, specifically with the likes of Barcelona. Interested, and my thoughts are if we could receive between 20 and 25 million for the guy, that would definitely boost up our budget, and we could bring in someone that's a lot more defensive-minded than Kolasinac, someone who's not going to make us as vulnerable when he goes forward, and someone who's got a lot more potential and a higher ceiling. I think Kolasinac is someone that we can get rid of personally. It's not someone I think is vital at staying at the club, and there's other players in the team that can cover that position, and ultimately I'm going to talk about someone that we could be bringing in to replace him. The next one is Shkodran Mustafi. Mustafi is obviously someone which divides, I say divides, he doesn't really divide much opinion, but the opinion that he does divide is mainly in the court of he isn't good enough for Arsenal because he makes too many mistakes, he makes too many big high profile errors, and that isn't good enough for a team that wants to be fighting for the top four and fighting for trophies, which Arsenal are a club that should be doing that on a regular basis. So Mustafi, if we can get about 20 million, if we're lucky, 15 to 20 million, massive drop on what we paid for him, I know, but any amount of money for the German, I think would be a big plus and add to our budget for the summer. Third player is Laurent Koscielny, 33 years old now. Laurent Koscielny, club captain, has done a really good job playing for Arsenal. I don't go as much to say he's been the best centre-back ever, or in the top 5 or whatever, but I think he's certainly been a very good servant for the club, and it's time that he did move on, and we can't really be affording to have someone that is going to be unable to play the amount of games that we need them to play on a regular basis. We need to try and work out what our best 11 is. And without Koscielny, I think we can still progress and allow some of the younger players to develop in his stead. So a 10 million move to Borussia Dortmund is the reported link. Maybe we'll see that go through. If so, 10 million on the extra transfer budget is very good. El Neni's the next one, been linked with moves to Turkey. I don't think he has really fulfilled the potential that he was basically coined with when he joined from Basel a few years back. And really he is just cannon fodder at the moment and a bit of deadwood that we do need to move on because he isn't up to the standard that we need at the club. And that's why El Neni needs to move on, because I don't think for me, he's getting in the way of developing other players that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Ospina has already left the club. He has gone to Napoli for a fee of around 4 million euros, which is probably a decent fee. We moan that we don't get good deals for people, but it was on the last year of his contract, I think. He wasn't starting for us. And even though he had a decent season for Napoli last year, getting the fee that we agreed with them when it could have been less than that, I think is at the end of the day some decent business. I know some people thought we could have got more, but it's what we got, so that adds to the budget. And the final player that I see leaving which will give you a clue as to how I see the team lining up, is Carl Jenkinson. Carl Jenkinson has been at the club for an extremely long time, big Arsenal fan. A lot of respect to have for Carl Jenkinson and the effort he's put in, but ultimately he is quite a big wage for someone who's not really getting too many minutes, and for good reason, and he probably isn't at the level that we need. So I say probably, he definitely isn't at the level that we need at the club, unfortunately, and I wish him the best, and I hope that he does find a really good club where he can get some really good minutes in and improve as a player and really enjoy the end towards the end of his career. I know he's not that old, but I wish him the best as he moves on, and I hope that we get a decent fee for him. That's sort of the players I see leaving for a sale, and hopefully add to our budget to get around sort of £100 million mark to spend on players. When you add all of those together, I know it seems like a lot, but trust me, when you add them together, it makes a little bit more sense. But players in terms that will be leaving on loan to get a little bit more experience. The first one is Eddie Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah had a season where you could argue it was kind of breakout a little bit. He scored, not this season, but the last season. He's had a few fixtures. He's played a few minutes. He scored on the final day, which is great. But he's not really had enough minutes to develop the player that we know that he can be, and the links are that he's going to be moving to Charlton next season. We've got a great relationship with Charlton. They've seen the likes of Coquelin, Alex Song, and this season Christian Bielik, obviously. Go to Charlton, come back, better players, and hopefully the same thing can happen for Eddie Nketiah. The next player is Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka is obviously a very highly rated winger. I think that he's shown in the youth team that he's definitely someone that's got a lot of potential. But like Reece Nelson, he needs a year out on loan, getting a lot of minutes in the first team of a senior side, not playing youth football and being thrown straight in at the deep end at Arsenal. He definitely needs to get some more minutes at a professional side. So maybe a move to Germany on loan would be good. Let's sign him up to a new contract before he leaves, like we did with Nelson, and see the same thing happen for Saka. And then finally, or penultimately rather, Emil Smith Rowe, I think definitely needs to go out. He didn't really get any minutes whatsoever while at RB Leipzig, and the rumours are that they want to take him on loan again. I think that'd be a really, really good place, a really high-profile team in Germany that are doing really well, got European football that he can get minutes in, and hopefully we can sign him to a new contract before he leaves, and see him come back to the Arsenal to replace maybe Aaron Ramsey a year later if we haven't done already. I hope that we do, but to provide some more midfield backup as a better player. I don't think he's at the level that we need him in the team at the moment, and I think he needs that experience again in the first team. And the final one is Zach Medley. Zach Medley is someone that people have been saying needs to be getting minutes. I haven't seen loads of him, I'm going to be honest, in the youth team. But again, I'm very much an advocate of once they've developed in the youth team, they need to go off and get some first team experience somewhere else. So for me, Medley must go out on loan. And now we get into the main lineup then. They're the players that I think are going to be leaving. I'm going to talk about the players that I think have been coming in as well, and use the formation. The formation that you're seeing on the screen now, obviously all covered up for the errors of surprise. So don't skip ahead, don't cheat. And find out who I think gradually will be getting into this side. I think we're going to go with a 4-3-3, hopefully. Maybe a 4-2-3-1, but I really think we're going to go with the back four. I think we'll probably go with a single striker, and we're going to get into the sort of the logistics about where that means players are. So let's get into it and start with the goalkeeper. The goalkeeping position obviously will be by Leno. Cech has now left. Leno did a really, really good job last season. I thought he was one of the standout performers of the season. Had a bit of a tricky start, but has now come in and really done a good job. And he will be backed up by Emi Martinez. Had a strong loan at Reading last season, has been always the guy on our books, never really been given too much a chance in the first team besides that, ironically, 7-5 victory against Reading, I remember massively. We had a bit of a mess up with one of their shots that started the game. I think we went 2-0 down from, but he's obviously come on a lot from then, really has improved as a player, and it's great to see that happening, and I'm glad to see him in an Arsenal shirt being the backup next season. I can't wait to see what he's going to show for us. That was obviously the goalkeeper side of things, so you can see the goalkeepers being revealed on the screen for you now. And we move on to the right back slot. The right back slot will be filled by, mainly when he's fit, Hector Bellerin. Hector Bellerin is going to be our right back for next season, arguably I would argue, possible captain moving forwards. He loves the club, he loves being here, he's very vocal, and whilst he divides opinion in terms of his personality and his style, I like what he does on the football pitch. I like his commitment to the club, and I think that he's definitely a captain in the making, a good number 2 that we can use going forwards. And he'll be backed up by the man that pretty much replaced him for most of last season. I know that many people wanted him to be in more of a centre midfield role, but I think he did really well there, and that's Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Ainsley Maitland-Niles will most likely start the season at right back because Hector is obviously injured still and will be out for a little bit longer with the ACL rupture that he had, and he has shown that he can deputise well, maybe not massively consistently, but he's good backup, and he needs to develop more because we have got a strong player to develop on our books there. So that's the right back slot sorted. The right back slot is with those two, Hector and Ainsley Maitland-Niles. So the centre-backs, 4 centre-backs I've picked out for us. First of all, the ones that we know are going to be in the lineup. Socrates had a very strong first season, experienced head, did really, really well. And someone that we definitely relied on at the back. Maybe his disciplinary issues need to be sorted, a little less yellow cards this season, but I was impressed with what Socrates provided us. Next one is Rob Holding, returning from injury after a long time out. I think that he was a massive loss, arguably the next highest loss after Hector Bellerin last year when he went out in that Manchester United game, and I really can't wait to see him back in the squad, back developing, and I think he's a future star at centre-back for Arsenal. I really do. I've got a lot of faith in this lad and think that he can develop and move forward. The next one is Mavropanos. Mavropanos, our Greek young defender. He showed what he's capable of. He's shown that he's worthy in the eyes of both our previous manager and Unai Emery. So I'm hoping that he can get some more minutes on the pitch. The Europa League is a perfect place for that. And he deserves his chance because he is improving and doing a lot better, and he's definitely a physical presence. And clearly he's enjoying his time at the Arsenal Football Club. So hopefully we're going to see a few more minutes for Mavropanos. And finally is a possible signing. I'll put a question mark next to his name because I don't know whether if he signs he'll be here. And this is William Saliba. William Saliba, Saint-Etienne centre-back. I did a video on him. You can go check that out. I'll leave the link for that in the description. Breaking down what he's like, what he's about. 18-year-old, very strong, very mobile, very good, very tactically aware, very positionally aware, very strong, reads the game very well, times his challenges very well, and can deputise at right back if need be. So he is versatile too. But as I said, if you want more information, go watch that video. But apparently the deal is 27 million, but could go back to Saint-Etienne on loan. So that's why I put the question mark next to his name. And that is our centre-back lineup, as you can see on the screen there. Socrates and Holding for me are the 2 starters, with those other guys as backup. Left back, again, we go from one new signing possibly to another possible new signing, and that is the replacement for Sead Kolasinac in Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney playing for Celtic, of course. I also did a video on him, which again will be in the description. You can see the thumbnail on the screen for you now, but go check that video out if you want some more information. But definitely someone we should be looking for, sign between 20 and 25 million, and can really provide us some extra defensive support, some much better play on the ball, and ultimately a good final pass as well. Backing him up will be Nacho Monreal. He has signed a new deal at the club for another year. He's shown that he's consistent. He's shown that he's versatile because he can play as a left-sided centre-back and a back 3. So he's always there for that option. And I think he's just been a good servant for the team. And I'm liking the fact we gave him a new deal because he is good backup. And he has enjoyed his time at Arsenal, and that's going to continue. So that's the left-back slot. That is our back 4 done. Arguably the starters, Bellerin, Holding, Socrates and Tierney. Tell me what your thoughts are on that back line. Is it enough for us to get into the top 4? You let me know. I know a lot of people wanted a more experienced centre-back coming in, so did I. But I think this is probably something as to what it's going to look like. We move into the midfield, move into defensive midfield, and the first person is obviously Lucas Torreira. Lucas Torreira was arguably the standout signing of last season, really changed our dynamic, and although we couldn't improve our league position, we definitely improved defensively in that position of the pitch. It's a shame he didn't get as many games as we thought he would get because Unai Emery likes his rotation, but when he played, he was strong, he was mobile, he was a little terrier, and definitely will improve a hell of a lot more if he's played more and will develop, and hopefully we can keep him away because he's been linked with some moves to Italy, but obviously Arsenal will be saying, no thank you, we don't want your money, we want to keep this Uruguayan little wizard in the team. And backing him up, someone who was on loan last season, some people think that he could be sold and could be brought in for a bit of money, but based on how he played last season, I'm leaning towards keeping him in the team as backup for both centre-back, right-back versatility. But Callum Chambers played at CDM for Fulham last season and was their standout player, one player of the season, and there's no reason why. I mean, we sent him out on loan to get time, get minutes and develop, and he did that. So now we should be looking to integrate him back into the squad as backup in that position, maybe even a starter at centre-back in the future, and whilst Holding maybe still out with injuries, who knows? Tell me what your thoughts are on Callum Chambers. And the final person for a backup in that position, again, another versatile player, on loan at Charlton, Christian Bielik. Did a video on Christian Bielik, link is in the description. Go check out that video, breaking Christian Bielik down on why I think he needs to be brought back. But Christian Bielik did really well at Charlton last season, developed a lot, can play at centre-back or CDM, has bulked up, really improved, man of the match performance in the playoff final, definitely someone we should be looking to integrate into the squad. Let's move into the centre midfield positions. Without Aaron Ramsey, we have lost him. He is gone, and so we're needing to replace him. And so this right centre mid slot in my 4-3-3, I've given to Dennis Praet, a guy that we've been linked to, a player that we've obviously been putting a bid in for with the likes of Joachim Andersen as well, but I've not included in this squad. But I still think that the interest is there for Dennis Praet. And if we can sign the Belgian, I think he adds a lot of depth, a lot of different style that we had. He's not really a Ramsey-esque player. He's more defensive than that. He sits in a lot more, but he can play well as that solid centre midfielder. And backing Dennis Praet up, I would give the position to Matteo Guendouzi. Matteo Guendouzi obviously signed last season from Lorient, and he came in and did really well for a guy who was less than 20 years old and really performed. Started the entire season against Manchester City on that first day and showed why he had so much faith putting in from the start. So there's those two. In terms of the left-hand side, the left-hand slots, first one is Granit Xhaka. Now, Granit Xhaka has obviously been linked with a move away from Arsenal. I've been getting into a few debates with people about Granit Xhaka. My bottom line on the Swiss is that if we were able to upgrade him, I would. I would upgrade Granit Xhaka if the offer was there for us to bring in someone who was better than him. But I can't see it happening. I can't see, and this is a realistic video that I wanted to do, and I think he will still be there next season, and that's why I put him in that centre mid slot. Possible captain if Koscielny leaves. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. Again, try to be respectful of this. This is just my opinion of what I think will be that lineup. And Granit Xhaka, for me, starts there next to someone like Dennis Praet and in front of someone like Torreira to give him that security. So that's who I'm putting in that left centre mid slot. Behind him is Joe Willock. Joe Willock, obviously a youth player, someone who didn't get an opportunity for a loan, but did show that he's got a lot of faith in him from the manager, being played in that unfortunate Europa League final. Got minutes in the Carabao Cup and did well against the likes of Blackpool. I know that's a lower down team, but you take your chances when you get them, and he did. So maybe Joe Willock can be the guy to come in and provide some backup for the midfield. I'd like to see him stay and develop and see if he can prove my initial thoughts that he was a bit too low in quality and too low in consistency, but I think maybe we've got a guy on our hands who can develop into a player that possibly will be starting by come the end of the season. Fingers crossed he's developed into that good of a player. We move forward then into the front three after our midfield has been completed, and we look at the right wing slot. The right wing slot is what I would look at as the marquee signing of the summer, if the rumours are believed to be true. And I think he's certainly someone that is gettable on the budget if we were to make some of these sales to get some more money. And that is Ajax's attacking midfield slash wide player, Hakim Ziyech. Now, Hakim Ziyech, obviously Moroccan international, excellent season last season. I did a video on him as well. So many videos. And you can check out the link to that in the description too. Great player, left-footed. You could argue that he's not actually an out-and-out winger, which he probably isn't, but he did very well there last season. But he's more of an attacking midfielder. But he's got a lot of quality, a lot of skill, a lot of time on the ball to use, and he really finds a space and finds his movement really well as well. So Hakim Ziyech, definitely one that I would be putting into the Arsenal lineup if we were to sign him. And backing him up, I'm putting Mkhitaryan behind him. Didn't have the best of seasons, definitely needs to turn things around. I don't think he'll be sold. I think the wages that he's on and the performance he put in last season probably puts a lot of people off. And finally, backing him up would be Reiss Nelson. Reiss Nelson, who guess what? Also did a video on, which you can check out in the description, talking about and asking the question of whether he was overrated or not. I don't feel that I think he's overrated in terms of thinking that he would start in an Arsenal side, but he's got a lot of potential, a lot of quality, and I'm glad he's going to be coming back and being playing in an Arsenal shirt next season. Hopefully a lot more minutes in the Europa League and the cup competitions too. In the striking role, now this is interesting because I've got a central striker, Aubameyang and Lacazette together there. For me, you pick one or the other. One shifted out possibly wide, Aubameyang being the one I would shift out because he's played there before. Does he start over Ziyech if we were to bring in him? Does he move over to the left, which I'll talk about in a second? Maybe. But I think one or the other. I'm not really a fan of the double striker as much as I was when it was happening, because I think teams have worked out how to disconnect them from the midfield, and that's really limited our chance creation and probably why we fell off so much towards the end of the season. We now move over to a difficult position, which is the left wing or left wide forward slot. And I start off by talking about Iwobi. Now, I've put these in order that I think would start. I think that Iwobi is valued by Unai Emery. I think he realises he's one of our few dribblers. And I know that he divides opinion massively, and a lot of people have a lot to say about Iwobi in a negative way. But I think that the player can improve a lot, provides us with a different dimension, someone who's going to be an impact player from the bench and someone that can do it from the start. If he can add some more goals and assists and consistency to his game, I think we have got a hell of a player. We just got to see it come out. Backing him up is another new signing that's pretty much confirmed now, is Gabriele Martinelli, who, guess what? I did a video on him. You can go check that out in the description too. Talking about Martinelli, breaking him down. It links to an article that I wrote on the Brazilian, but he's got a lot of potential. I'm glad he's coming in. He was misrepresented as a striker when he's actually a left wing, so I break all that down. So go check that video out. And finally is the final player on our list, and the one that's the most difficult to position in this team because he hasn't got a place, because there is no number 10 in this formation, and that is Mesut Ozil. I don't believe Mesut Ozil will leave. I don't think that he'll get too many minutes either, which is a shame. Because I think he's got a lot of quality and he's not really fit into this squad. And we've really trapped him with the wages that we've put him on, which is unfortunate again. But he's a really intriguing case to see what he does next season. Whether he'll start regularly, I have my doubts. I think we'll value youth players who have more time to develop and are more willing to put more time on the pitch than he is. But that's just my opinion. Again, he is one of those where if you criticise him, you get a lot of stick for it, and if you back him, you get a lot of stick for it. So it's very difficult to talk about Mesut Ozil. But that's my thoughts on him. I don't think he fits in our team. I don't think he fits in the style of play that Unai Emery wants to play. And that's why I think he will be left out in the cold a bit again this season. But that's my thoughts, and this is the lineup. Ultimately, that's where it is. It's chop and changeable. There's a couple of risks in there with the players that might sign and the players that might leave or might not. But that's sort of where I am with the rumours that have been going around. This might change. So in a month's time, when I maybe do one of these videos again, you'll be able to see how it differs from the video from today. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please like and subscribe with those notifications turned on. And please leave your comments in the descriptions and let me know if you disagree, agree, what would you change, what would you add, what do you think we're going to sign, because I really appreciate it, and I read through all those, as you saw with my displaying the comments on the screen for you. So if you maybe want to get your comment featured, leave one in the description. I'll see you again very, very soon, tomorrow, for the next show. Let me know if I should do a tactical breakdown on anyone specific. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.